Join and support the Mucha Lucha podcast by going to the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Mucha Lucha to join us and help us make this podcast better every week. Also, find us on Twitter at Mucha Lucha Pod. That is Mucha Lucha Pod. Also, don't forget to subscribe to us on the YouTube channel and on the iTunes podcast app. Also, you can find us on any other podcast app that you can find. Now, here are Rich and Los on another episode of the Mucha Lucha podcast.
¡Lucha! ¡Mucha lucha! ¡Mucha lucha! ¡Mucha lucha! It's the way of life! ¡Mucha lucha! ¡Mucha
lucha! What's going on, everybody? Rich here, the Mucha Lucha podcast. Welcome to another episode of Wrestling Rants with Rich and Los. Of course, this is an episode with me, Rich, and a little rant. If you've been listening to this podcast, we originally meant to do this on the Patreon, but while we build our podcast, while we build our audience and our listeners, we're gonna do Wrestling Rants with Rich and Los here on YouTube and here on the regular podcast. So this is officially episode 1 of Wrestling Rants with Rich and Los. And I just want to talk real quick, my first rant. Something that I've been kind of pissed off about for the past few months. Actually, no, scratch that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family overall. And so I've been pissed about this since they debuted because I'm a Bray Wyatt fan. And so as a Bray Wyatt fan, you know, from when they originally debuted till now, you know, they immediately captivated the audience. You can see it by the reaction he gets every week in SmackDown. And so basically you have Bray Wyatt, this captivating character with this faction that first was originally with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan's. Then it grew with both of those guys and Braun Strowman. Seemingly, what is the right word? Dominating, seemingly immediately a threat to whoever they wanted to, and that was kind of like their thing. At first, they came in, they would come out randomly, attack people. They attacked Kane. Was one of their first target. Undertaker also, you know, they attacked them together. They attacked the Big Show, John Cena, Randy Orton. They came in wrecking shop and beating everybody up. But of course, WWE, as they're known for, with bad booking every once in a while, books the Wyatt family terribly. You know, you got Bray Wyatt built up as this leader of this giant faction and this destructive force of a faction, and then immediately starts jobbing to bigger talent. You know, he lost his first feud with John Cena, with a feud with Roman Reigns, a feud with Dean Ambrose, a feud with Daniel Bryan, and so on and so on. And basically, he's never been built strong enough to be a threat, even though he's constantly a threat, even though he can be constantly a threat, and even though he's clearly, even as a heel or a face, whatever you consider him, at whatever moment, he's one of the most over people in the company. So it's been kind of frustrating as a Bray Wyatt fan because I like the work he does. I like the presentation of him. I like his promo ability, his cutting the promo, you know, whenever either in the ring or in those promos that they show in the Timetron with the super edited videos. I mean, everything about him, man, it just draws you in and captivates the audience. So I don't understand why WWE has been so terrible at how they book just, you know, not just Bray Wyatt, but as the Wyatt family. You know, I feel like by now we would have had a period where the Bray Wyatt would have had been champion. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan's should have been multiple time tag team champions. You know, you could have built this group, man, to be the next big force in the WWE, but they haven't done that at all. And then as of lately, before this past WrestleMania, they were doing pretty well on how they booked Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family. He had his feud with Randy Orton where he actually ended up beating Randy. Randy joined the Wyatts. It was one of the more interesting things that they have Randy doing in the past few years. And it was a good mix of Randy and Bray. Of course, everybody was waiting for that moment pre WrestleMania to where Randy was gonna betray Bray and eventually break the Wyatt family up. But and they were doing good, man. They built momentum. They had them as tag team partners at one point, which was amazing. They got even bigger and even more over with the crowd. The crowd, I was loving the promo work between him and Randy. Luke Harper was, always that one guy that you could kind of see already through the storyline that he was going to be the dividing factor in that whole story. And pre WrestleMania, they had enough time, enough episodes of SmackDown, enough weeks to have built that storyline so much better than what they did. They could have done exactly what they did. Where they started at and what they finished was fine, but what we didn't get was enough of a storyline in between to tell us what the hell was going on. So we got Randy, who basically gave up from fighting Bray out of nowhere. He said, "You know what? If you can't beat him, join him." Joins the Wyatt family, and then everybody knows that Randy's going to betray Bray eventually. It was about how creative can they get in doing this? How creative can they make it seem to when at the end of it all, everybody's impressed, everybody's left happy with the outcome. And at first, it was looking good. Every once in a while, you could see just in face expressions of Randy. You see, you had those teasing moments. You could see it in the tension that started forming between Luke Harper and Randy. That was going to be the leading factor in the breakup. But basically, out of nowhere, man, WWE just kind of like chopped that story in half. In 1 week, Randy wins the Royal Rumble. The next week, he tells Bray, as long as you're champion. The next week, Bray wins. A couple of weeks later, Bray wins the title. Randy comes out, says, "I'm not gonna face you at Mania. You're my leader." Blah blah blah. And then like a week or two later, he's burning down the Wyatt compound and telling Bray Wyatt, "I'm coming for the title." So it just kind of was a very hurried story, a very packed ending to the outcome of what was going to happen at WrestleMania. And then what was worse was the match itself was good, but the production of the match was kind of bad. They had 2 weeks to tell us that Bray had turned into this powerful force because Randy freed the spirit of Abigail or something. He basically became Bray, the spawn of Satan, and then the only thing they do of that whole story is a little bit of production, 3 production sections in the middle of the match where they were projecting very badly bugs on the ring. And then what was worse is Randy no sells it, still hits Bray with 2 RKOs and just wins. And now we have regular Randy, which is fine. Not a lot of people are a fan of just regular face Randy as a champion. I'm a big fan of Randy Orton. I think he can do great things as a champion. But then we're back to Bray Wyatt being the same thing as he was when he first got here, jobbing in every single one of his feuds. Now they sent him to Raw on the Superstar Shakeup. He immediately cuts a promo with Finn Balor, which we all know there's no way they're going to job out Finn Balor to Bray Wyatt to build him stronger. They're just going to build that. They're going to build Bray up as a threat to Finn Balor, and then they're going to job him out to Finn Balor just to build Finn Balor even stronger than they already have. So it's just been really frustrating as a Bray Wyatt fan, and seeing how much obvious potential the Wyatt family has, and now since they're no longer the Wyatt family, we have to see how those individuals are gonna pan out. But that's just been one of my things that's been irking at me, guys. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think it was really obvious the steps they should have taken with the Wyatt family, and but I'll tell you what, I just ranted a bunch on how they did everything wrong. I'll tell you what, my hope is that everybody's basically no selling this match between Wyatt and Randy at Payback, this House of Horrors match. And yes, most likely he's going to lose. But what a twist would it be if Bray Wyatt wins the WWE title at the House of Horror, takes the title to Raw. Now he's the big champ. Now he's the champion. And then we maybe get, Brock Lesnar as part of the shakeup because he would never showed up in those two shows. That he can just come in and say, hey, I was sent to SmackDown. I just, I'm here whenever the hell I want to be here. And so you can shake those two champs up. And now you have Bray Wyatt as the main champion on Raw. And now it's an even better and bigger thing whenever they, put him in a feud with Finn Balor, and we'll have to see where that goes. But that's one of my rants, guys. My frustration with the Bray Wyatt family. I'm still a big fan. I still look forward. Bray is one of the, me and Lowe's here in the Mucha Lucha podcast, we're going to, and our boy Chips, shout out to Chips. We're going to Raw on Memorial Day, Monday. On that day, we'll be there live. And one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to see, because I've never been to a WWE Raw live, is, Bray Wyatt coming out and being able to be one of the many lights out there in the crowd and see him live. So, man, I'm a big fan, and I just hope that they build him bigger. I hope he doesn't fall behind in the top of the talent there on Raw. And I hope from now on, they're able to just work creatively with him. I'm not too hopeful about it because I think SmackDown's creative team is a lot better than Raw's. But hopefully, Vince is big on Bray, and he pushes somebody to push him farther. So thank you guys for listening to this rant. I have another one coming up this weekend, guys. Spoiler alert. It's on Jinder Mahal. Jinder fucking Mahal. I mean. But anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're watching this, support the podcast on the Patreon at patreon.com/Mucha Lucha. There you guys can pledge and support this podcast financially. Help us get better mics, better sound, better audio. That's sound and audio is the same thing. Better video, better cameras, better everything. Just we love doing this thing. I know I personally do. I love talking about wrestling. So hope to do this more and more and get better and better. But you guys can hit us up there. You guys can hit up us on our Twitter at Mucha Lucha Pod and give us more subjects that you guys want to hear me or Lowe's rant about. And so thank you guys for listening to this, my first episode of Wrestling Rants with Rich. See you next time.
¡Lucharé!